the past 4 years, I've worked with hundreds of different e-commerce brands and generated over $50 million of email marketing revenue. In this video, I'm going to go over the 10 lessons I learned during that journey. This way, you can get to making money as fast as possible from email. And really, we're going to start with the first one, which is brands forgetting about their first impression. Brands will spend so much time focusing on getting the sign up that they completely forget about the most important step, which is the email that comes right after that. There are so many brands that I've worked with and seen where the first email is not set up to go to that, and that's a huge mistake because this is the peak opportunity. And it's also the time that we really want to focus on getting that prospect potentially to that first purchase. So in this case, what I recommend doing, because this is such a significant low-hanging fruit, is creating a 5 email welcome series at the very least. The first one being, if you're doing this via a sign-up form, offer that discount that you were promising, and then from there work on upsells, education, nurturing the customer, and getting that toward that first purchase. Number 2, designs don't always win. Now, I'm not saying stop designing emails altogether. What I am saying though is plain text does deserve a spot inside of your email strategy. There is nothing more heartfelt and personal than getting an email angled as the founder coming to the customer, and we've been doing this a lot for Fly by Jing, and it's going to work for you. Really, at the end of the day, this is a pattern interrupt. It makes it seem more personal, and that's what we're going for. So what I do challenge you to do is take your best performing email, kind of try and change it into a plain text email, a true plain text email, use line breaks or whatever it might be, but see how that performs. Angle it as coming from the founder and see what happens. I guarantee you're going to see a very pleasing performance. Number 3, most A/B tests are overkill. Now, look, I love split testing, and we recently just scaled Kimbo to over $100,000 in revenue, and we did that through a bunch of split testing. And if you want to see if we can do the same, book a call in the first link in the description. But in reality, most brands are going completely overload when it comes to an overkill when it comes to A/B testing. I have brands all the time asking for different testing, but the real truth of it is that unless you're running an insane amount of volume through your email marketing channel, that marginal increase in click rates isn't going to make a huge dent in things at the end of the day. So what I do recommend doing is focusing on those bigger levers, such as offers and testing, those kind of things, versus looking at things like subject lines and whatnot, the color of a button. Like, it really doesn't matter at the end of the day. Focus on the things that are really going to be those big levers and big optimizers. Really, if you have less than 1,000 subscribers, don't really test that much. Instead, focus on your offers, focus on your CTAs, the bigger things that are really going to matter. Because at the end of the day, it's just a bunch of noise, and what we're really looking for is insight. So when you do scale your brand to a bigger point, yes, A/B testing is going to be a huge thing that can potentially bring those bigger improvements. But if you're a small brand, your effort's really just going to be meant more and worth more elsewhere. Number 4, you need to sell. You probably hear stop sending discounts, stop spamming your list with different sales and whatnot, but that's only partially true. At the end of the day, educational emails are really going to only take you so far. Many brands lean too heavy into the philosophy of trying to ensure that their customers aren't trained to expect discounts. And while this is a great theory, it's just something that we need to make sure that we don't go too far into. We want to make sure that, at the end of the day, your email subscribers subscribe because they want to get offers and whatnot. They didn't want to hear just about blog posts. At the end of the day, your products do need to get sold directly to them. So make sure that we're sprinkling in promos and direct promotions every once in a while. I'm not saying blast discounts all the time, but what I do recommend doing is looking at the past 10 emails you've sent. See what percentage of those were educational versus having a direct offer attached. If you're not doing that many direct offers, I recommend trying to include a little bit more and see how your revenue increases. At the end of the day, your email list is here to make money. So if we're not pushing that offer, then there's no point in doing it. So highly recommend doing that. Check into it, see if you can take some action out of there. Number 5, people barely read your emails. The number of people who truly make it to the bottom of your emails is a lot less than you think. Yet a lot of people still spend more time really optimizing their footer versus their hero section, which is just a huge shame. The truth of it is, time and time again, we've compared and tested short emails versus long emails, and quite honestly, we either don't see a difference in performance or we see an increase in the shorter email performance. The reason behind that is, at the end of the day, people's attention spans are low. They're also viewing their emails on their phone. So unless you can communicate that message in that first paint, is what I'm going to call it, or the hero section of the email, then the message is just not going to get delivered. It's either going to end up in their trash or they're just going to ignore it. So what I recommend doing is really just trying to shorten those emails, compress all of that, get your discount and offers up into that first hero section. And from there, you're going to see a much better performance coming out of it. Number 6, your segments are too small. A lot of brands just lack the volume required to actually segment. And if they do, it ends up affecting their results. Time and time again, the story becomes try and segment your audience as much as possible to cater the message to them. And while this is very, very strong in theory, this is typically meant for much, much larger brands. Most small to mid-sized brands are just not going to benefit from that level of hyper-personalization. So what I do recommend doing, because at this point, in all honesty, frequency is just going to be the big lever you're going to pull at this point, is focus on using only 2 to 3 big broad segments. If it's less than 1,000 people, it's probably not necessary. Number 7, true customers like your emails. And at the end of the day, 99% of brands are afraid of doing daily sends, and the reason being that they don't think that their customers are going to want to hear from them. The truth of it is, though, that your top customers really do want to be kept in the loop, And at the end of the day, regardless of frequency, non-buyers are going to unsubscribe. It's just a fact of the matter. It's just going to happen. So what I do recommend doing is right now, if you're sending 1 to 2 emails per week, potentially look into sending 2 more. If you're worried about potential customers getting a little bit annoyed by the frequency of it, then yeah, go ahead and use exclusions and whatnot, but give it a try, see what's going to happen. But your best customers are not going to mind that whatsoever. Number 8, focus on strategy, not send time. Send time is one of those micro optimizations that in all honesty is just a waste of time for most brands. It's not going to make a true difference. And time again, I honestly have not seen that many brands that have ever seen an increase in performance from it. So my recommendation to you is that because something like an email is going to land in somebody's inbox and it's going to sit there regardless, is instead focus on your copy and offers, which are going to be really just a whole lot more high leverage. So if you do want to test it, what I recommend doing is just taking a single week, testing like a morning period, afternoon period, and then evening period, seeing if there's going to make any difference. Beyond that, I would not add that as a potential A/B test variable. Number 9, brands train sales snipers. If you send too many discounts, you're going to unfortunately start to train your people and your customers to essentially wait for that next discount. And unfortunately, that's what most brands do. On the flip side of lesson number 4, there is definitely an upper limit as well. If you're really just training all of your customers and whatnot because you're constantly pushing sales, and this isn't really just limited to only your email marketing channel, but the high level brand as well, then you're essentially running into a level of, hey, I'm not going to purchase unless I have a sale. So in that case, you kind of put yourselves in a bit of a block of whatnot. So what I do recommend doing as a way to kind of level this out is try and either do your sales to a specific product, do it to a specific collection, and in that way, people aren't going to be waiting for these big sales that you're doing all the time, because instead it's limited to a certain subset of products. And in that way, they're like, hey, this one's on sale right now, I'm going to take advantage of it. And in that way, limiting your sales to potentially either 1 to 2 per week or month, you're going to see a lot less of this effect going on, and you're going to see a lot better sales kind of spread out across your months and whatnot, versus just them all being contained to just promo periods. Number 10, everything starts with your pop-up. At the end of the day, you can have these same email templates, offers and copy, whatever it might be, but it entirely depends and scales based off of the number of emails that you're sending to. So if you're receiving nobody and you're not really capturing anybody, then it's all kind of thrown out the window. Think of your email channel as kind of like a water wheel. The input form acts as kind of like that input channel, and it kind of spins the entire water wheel, which is your email channel, and makes it generate revenue or power. So in that case, focusing on that sign up form and driving that up in terms of form submit rate is a huge way to actually increase the overall performance of your channel. So big takeaway from this is when you're building out your email strategy, focus on your sign up form first, then build out the rest, because you can have the best email marketing strategy in the world, but if you have nobody to send to, then it's completely worthless. Now, those are the biggest takeaways I learned from generating over $50 million in revenue through email marketing. But if you want to see the actual strategies that were used to generate that revenue, watch this video right here, and I'll see you there.